Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
We have to be more adventurous just as clients are asking for more and more specific things. Who says that we also can't be just as specific on our side of things? If we are thinking to ourselves, well, I want to be able to find a client who does medical narration based in the Netherlands. You know, just like they're saying, we want this particular age range, this particular kind of sound, this particular kind of person with this ethnicity. You know, when they're having their castings for these, whether it is on Voice 123 or through an agent, we can do the exact same thing when we're looking for a client for ourselves too.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
Welcome to the Making Waves VO podcast presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Hey, it's Kevin Kilpatrick here along with Bobby Maxwell. Bobby, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's a good week so far. How you doing?
Beautiful. It's beautiful here in Tennessee and enjoying the weather. I've not been attacked by the pollen and allergies yet. I've been doing my immunity drips and getting my immunity injections to try to stave off any kind of congestion. And
That's interesting you said that because as soon as we get done here, I'm headed into Nashville to see an ENT about that very same stuff. I mean, that is like terrible for us VO talent.
Are you okay, though? Everything going okay?
Yeah, you know, just the scratchy throat and, you know, I don't want to get into the gross stuff, but yeah. I'm seeing he's actually a voice ENT because Nashville has so many singers here.
Yeah.
It's called the Voice Institute or something like that, and it's one of the best in the country because there are so many vocalists here in Nashville. So I can't wait to talk to this guy about my throat.
Wow. Well, that's very personal, and I appreciate you sharing here on the podcast so everybody in all of the land can hear about your nose and throat issues. Well, we've got a fun episode of the Making Waves VO podcast today. We're going to be joined by a very special guest coming up in just a second. But let me, and that's Nadia Marshall. We're going to chat with her in just a moment. But Bobby, what's on the horizon? What have you been working on? What do you got coming up in the works?
Well, as we talked about last time, a lot of political this time of year, which we love. But
Yeah.
I had another, not political, automotive, but I did have another political spot this morning. Two of them come in. So I just can't wait for this to ramp up for, you know, into the summer.
I look forward to that, too. And I'm about to start my marketing onslaught. My marketing onslaught with political. I've got a hot, fresh new political demo.
Yeah.
And I will be... not bamboozling. I don't bamboozle. I'm straight up. I am straight
We might
up.
have somebody who to talk about it. You know, she's a great guest to have on.
Absolutely. So that makes a perfect segue. Let's let her into the room. She's a voice actor, stage actor, opera singer, speaks multiple languages, and is a super savvy modern-day business person, the extremely talented Nadia Marshall. Welcome, Nadia.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Bobby.
Hi.
Great to be on the show.
Welcome to the Making Waves VO podcast. And Nadia is here to chat about lead generation. This is something, Bobby and I always talk about this. We are among the worst at marketing. And sometimes we need our hands held. Sometimes we need help. And we're going to talk about lead generation. But Nadia, before we get into all that, tell us about your path to voiceover. What first got you interested in voiceover?
Sure. So actually, opera was kind of the segue to get me through to voiceover. There's, you know, quite a few of us that are opera singers or were opera singers that have come into the VO world. So I've met quite a few of them in the community. But I was initially in a opera chorus for Carmen, the opera by Bizet. And so I met a woman there who is a Brazilian voiceover talent. We had kept in touch. And after I completed my undergraduate degree at Florida State University, she reached out again and we reconnected. And she was saying, like, you know, I really think you should consider this as another career. I said, okay, like, I'm interested to hear more. And she was such a great representation of the kindness of this community because, I went over to her house, and for a couple of hours we just talked, and she showed me her setup. She introduced me to some of the casting sites that she used. She gave me some of her old equipment. She was honestly so incredibly kind with her time and her energy. So it was really thanks to Sumaira for getting me a start in voiceover. And that was how I got introduced.
Are you still singing and doing voiceover? Or is that just something?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. We won't make you sing, I
Yes.
promise.
Well, when you were talking about your throat, Bobby, I was like, oh, yeah, I want to hear more. Like, I don't know if everyone else wants to hear, but I want to hear what's going on.
See, Cav, it wasn't gross.
Oh, but do you have to warm up a ton before you can just belt out some opera stuff?
Yes, I think it's safe to say that if I don't warm up properly, it doesn't sound as connected as it can be. So I think of it kind of like, in a way we are at an Olympic level of athleticism, in the sense that, if we're going to be doing a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour opera, you're not singing for the entire 3 hours, mind you, but you're doing some extreme levels of vocalism. So you need to be able to warm up accordingly. So you can't just kind of, caca, and go into it, but you have to make sure that you warm up properly for about, I don't like to warm up for too long, but, at least 15, 20 minutes just of solid, good exercises to make sure that I'm warm and ready to go.
So do you stay in touch as far as vocal health with a ENT, or I think they have actually
Absolutely
voice doctors?
I mean, yes, I think it is important to have, a checkup, maybe depending on, if you want to have one at least once a year. I think that's more than enough if you're pretty good about your vocal health from the day-to-day, hydration, making sure that you're speaking properly with actual support underneath you, and making sure you're not excessively talking beyond what you have to do in the booth. And if you have good vocal habits, you should be fine. But if you know that you have an extremely stressful situation where you have to talk for extended periods of time, maybe then you might have to be a little more cautious. But yes, I think in the day-to-day, if you're pretty good about your vocal health, you should be fine.
Kevin does a lot of very, very high-energy automotive commercials, and you're literally screaming at times, right, Kev?
Get a new Camry for $299 a month. It's kind of like that, right? Is that what you mean, Bobby?
It's like video games, I'm telling you.
No.
So,
Lacey could tell you. Lacey's edited me a bunch, and so she knows when I have to do the bangers, the mean, angry Kevin, the hard sell, and it is more, Get a new Camry, $299 a month. Get it now at Hudson Toyota. But anyway, it's just a character read. It's just, but I do need to warm up. I can't just go from the get-go. I did blow out my voice one time doing that. Early in my voiceover career, I was doing that kind of stuff, and the client was like, Kevin, do you have any more in the tank? And I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a go. Blew out my voice, and I could not read anything for about 3 or 4 days. And I told the client, I'm like, I can't go that high anymore. I can't go that aggressive and angry and screamy anymore. And now I've got it. It's muscle memory. And I'm sure, Nadia, you probably experience a lot of the muscle memory. It goes with opera, I'm sure, and there's certain places where you put your vocal range and not to hurt yourself. And that's what I did. I'm like, I will never go above an 8 out of 10 anymore, ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, and that's the thing. You as long as you're not being a hero and you know your limitations and you know the times where you maybe can start to touch, go a little bit over the line for a second or two, that's fine. But you know your limits and you know what you can do safely and for, stamina and endurance sake. So absolutely.
You don't want to miss what's next. Making Waves returns momentarily.
You're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Me? Oh, I'm Joe Cipriano, and I'm here for the popcorn.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low-price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
And now back to making waves. So I know you didn't just jump into lead generation. What was your path into voiceover? What did you focus on when you first started? What genres?
So I would say for voiceover, the genres I focused on a lot were non-broadcast work, so primarily explainer, corporate narration, and commercial to start. And especially since with the multiple accents that I provide, I was noticing that I was getting hired a lot more to do that kind of work due to the different accents that I can do. So that was my main, I would say my main three for quite a few years.
And you legit speak French and Italian?
I do. I have a minor in both from when I went to Florida State. So I wouldn't necessarily say I don't like to say that I'm fully fluent because, of course, there are, nuances or idioms that I don't necessarily know because I don't live in the country. But if a client were to come to me with a smallish script, I can do it. But if it's, pretty heavy medical jargon, I would, of course, give it to someone who is an actual, French speaker and Italian speaker in the country. But if it's a small commercial, I can definitely do that.
That's such a nice asset to have in this industry, being bilingual. That's great.
We're also going to get a nightmare session story from Nadia coming up in just a little bit, so stick around for that. It's going to be fun. And do you find that you're using the accents and the different languages that you speak a lot in voiceover? Are you getting a lot of opportunities?
Absolutely. I mean, I typically book in, my American accent at the moment, and I also book a lot in my British and my Indian accents quite a bit, especially depending on the genre. So if it's more like e-learning or corporate narration, I notice a lot more Indian accent is being requested. And then for maybe commercials and video games too, I should say, actually, since it's a lot more about authenticity. But for commercials and maybe a little bit of explainer, it would be more British. And then, video game animation, it depends on whatever other kind of accent they want. Or if the actual character is of British origin, Indian origin, then they want that. But I definitely I'm probably very confusing around my friends because sometimes I'm like in the accent and then they're like, hey, what's this?
Does somebody just take over your body?
It does. You can't stop an avalanche as it races down the hill, as they say in Hairspray.
Right.
So.
A lot of auditions now will ask for an unidentifiable accent, which I'm sure is perfect for you, right?
Yeah, it's like kind of the neutral English, the elusive, whatever that means on the Hidalgo.
Mid-Atlantic or the Atlantic or whatever, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Transatlantic or mid-Atlantic, whichever you want to call it. It's kind of that global sound. But I think, as long as it's articulate and as long as it's, pretty easy to understand, I think it can be any kind of amalgamation because, that's the United States in a way. It's kind of this melting pot of different cultures, so why not?
It was funny because when I was researching for you being on the podcast, because we've never met in person, I clicked on a video and the first thing I was like, oh, she's British. I didn't know that. Then I clicked on the next one. Oh, no, she's American. She's all American. And then it's like all these other accents that you do and languages and stuff. So that's, super talented. Congrats on having all that work done and putting in the work to master, or not necessarily master, but get good enough to where you can do VO performances in those languages.
Hola, this is Jenny Alvarez, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby.
Let's segue now into performing on the business side of voiceover. Lead generation. You are presenting this and you're helping people with their business model and figuring out ways to get more leads and more income. Tell us about the lead generation. What are you putting together? What have you put together?
So I have a course specifically tailored for voice actors called Lead Generation Blueprint, the Ultimate Guide. And it's kind of an all-in-one course that really talks about more efficient strategies to be able to find voice buyer leads to then eventually be able to contact and, email market or cold call, whatever method you prefer, but how to find that particular contact information for that lead. whether it be through a search engine, whether it be through LinkedIn, social media, other methods, and basically how to maximize your time. So, I mean, I know lead generation's not the sexiest thing on the planet, but I try my best to make it as fun as I can in this course. So it's just an all-in-one, currently it's 6 modules, but there's some more on the way, ways to kind of maximize your time and make things more efficient and give you confidence.
I'm sure you're seeing a lot of interest too, because when you think about it, the agencies, online casting, all of that is so oversaturated. People aren't booking like they thought they would when they got into voiceover. So marketing is the way to go now. Are you seeing like a surge in the past couple of years in that direction?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you just said it. I mean, it's become so much more competitive. This is a global business. This is a global institution and industry that, we have to be more adventurous just as clients are asking for more and more specific things. Who says that we also can't be just as specific on our side of things? If we are thinking to ourselves, well, I want to be able to find a client who does medical narration based in the Netherlands. Just like they're saying, we want this particular age range, this particular kind of sound, this particular kind of person with this ethnicity. When they're having their castings for these, whether it is on Voice 123 or through an agent, we can do the exact same thing when we're looking for a client for ourselves too, if we want to boost a certain genre in our business. So absolutely, I think the way that the industry has changed in the last, 10 plus years, it's become more essential than ever to be able to market yourself and show off what you can do because we all have different skill sets. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different things that we can offer that could be exactly what this new client is looking for.
How do you feel about the marketing side in terms of, tooting our own horn? Because there's so many of us that it's like, I know we need to do that. We're our biggest cheerleader. Our biggest cheerleader of ourselves is us. But some people, it just is cringy. Like for me, it's me. That's who I'm talking about. It's just
Me too.
cringy. I don't like to go, oh, I'm so good. I will benefit your company in all these ways. How would somebody get over that in terms of lead generation and using your blueprint?
I mean, I'm also the same way in the sense that sometimes you can feel, lots of imposter syndrome of like, well, everybody else is saying the same kind of email. Like, what makes me different?
Yeah.
But I think it really comes down to, obviously you are treating this like a career. You're putting in the work. You've invested so much time, so much money into really making your business shine and grow over the next couple of years. So there's that. Quite a few people who do market don't have a plan. And I mean, some of these emails, you'll see that some people will send like, oh, I'm a studio owner and here are the emails that people send. They don't even do basic research. They don't even do any basic sort of, oh, let me find out what name, what's the name of the contact I'm contacting? What position do they have in the company? Let me do a little bit of research on LinkedIn or social media. Oh, turns out that they did this video with this brand and I actually really identify with that and I'm going to mention that in my email. Whatever kind of template you have listed or however you want to structure your email, but you're taking that time to make it a little bit personal without getting overly personal. Because some people, they give their whole life story in the email and it's 4 pages long and you're like, all right, I'm not here to read your personal life story. But when you make it short and sweet, to the point, you're showing the fact that you put in the effort to contact this person and you've done your due diligence and your research. That's going to make you stand out even more. Despite the fact that it may feel like everybody else is also marketing to the same person, you did that extra step and you researched just a little bit more than the other person.
I was laughing because you said that, you don't need to go too far with it or get too personal. I'm thinking, I happen to notice that you get Starbucks at 8 o'clock every morning.
Yeah, don't be a stalker.
Will you hire me?
Well, what about the other end? I mean, if so many people are reaching out, when do they say, oh, I'm done? They drop off LinkedIn. For example, I was in a workshop a couple nights ago with an agent on there. And usually in those kind of workshops, they'll give you the personal email address just as, part of the perk of taking the workshop. But this person only said, you can reach me on LinkedIn. So I know she's getting a lot of people reaching out to her through her email address. So what can we do that we're not going to be that person? I mean, you've just mentioned a few things, but can we, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. What can we do so that they're not being bombarded?
Mm-hmm. These are all valid points. Absolutely. I mean, I think it has to be a little bit of a long game, right? I mean, this isn't necessarily going to be an immediate conversion right off the bat. Mm-hmm. There may be a happenstance where one time you get someone that, you are exactly who they needed right there at that exact moment, but that's quite rare. You have to be comfortable with the idea that this is a seed that may take some time to grow into something. That if you think, well, I'm going to reach out to this person on LinkedIn and I immediately am expecting a job, no, sorry to burst your bubble, but that's not going to happen. But if you instead think of it as, I'm going to reach out on LinkedIn, okay, maybe I notice that they tend to post or whatever. I'm going to make sure that maybe I comment on their post. I make a comment that is personalized, or I'm going to like something. Or if I engage with them in this sort of way, maybe I notice that, they're also talking on some of these, let's say it was an agent, like you mentioned. Maybe they're involved in some of these Facebook groups and they comment on something and then you can kind of reply on that comment. Maybe they're also in some other groups, maybe on LinkedIn, for example, or part of their page if they're involved if they post on a page about some of the recent work they've done. There are other ways we might have to kind of look outside the box to kind of keep some small touches in place that when they feel comfortable that they can be like, sure, you can have your email. Then when you do make those kind of, I'm out of the studio, I'm on vacation, or, I made a new political demo and you end up casting a lot of political stuff, just thought you would want to know for your own records. Just like we get certain emails from brands, we're not going to necessarily click on every single email. But there might be that one time where we see that email and we're like, actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind looking at that. Or, I've been thinking about them, so I kind of want to look at this. We just have to keep, which I know can be very frustrating, we have to keep the momentum going for that eventual moment when they're going to say, actually, yes, you're who I need to talk to right now. But that's the issue, is that it is a long game. It's not going to be immediate. So that's kind of the unfortunate, thing you have to keep in mind with marketing. But in essence, if you're willing to put in the work, it will come out on the other side because they'll trust you. They'll utilize you. They'll probably become, and hopefully will become, a loyal client that you can, be in touch with for years to come.
Do you think voice artists need to get the pro version of LinkedIn, or you think we can do all this on a free version?
I mean, LinkedIn is changing quite a few things that now they're limiting the amount of connections you can make per month, which is very frustrating because, now they're wanting everyone to go on the pro version. But there are some sneaky ways to get around it. I'll just say that. You can do this with the free version. I don't think you necessarily need to get the pro version, but there are ways that you can sort of get around some of the loophole. You can make a loophole as to some of the strategies that LinkedIn is trying to put in place to force everyone to go pro. But you can easily be able to market just using the free version.
Oh, good. Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
Hey everyone, David Toback, COO of the Global Voice Acting Academy, also creator of the GVA Rate Guide and a voice actor, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast.
Oh, Bobby, vacation season is upon us. A lot of people are going to be going on vacation, and a lot of us voice actors need to take travel gear with us. And good thing our friends at Full Compass have everything you need for traveling, like the iRig. Bobby, you know about the iRig, right?
I do know about the iRig, but I am an Android person. But you have an iPhone, right?
Yes, I have an iPhone, and a lot of people do have an iPhone. And if you go to fullcompass.com, just go into their search and just type in iRig, all one word, and all the products come up. And you're going to see all the different varieties of iRig things they have, which are great for traveling. They're compact, they're portable, they provide you with good quality sound. If you need something small and compact and sometimes emergency situations, they're going to have it for you at Full Compass.
Yeah, speaking of compact, I use the Focusrite for the road, the Scarlet, and it's just so tiny. I can put all of my gear in just a little carry-on case that I kind of shove underneath my feet on the plane. So they have the Scarlet, they have the 2i2, the 3i3. I mean, they've got just about every Focusrite product you can imagine at Full Compass.
I love the Focusrite myself because, like you said, it's compact and it is my go-to interface to take with me when I'm traveling. But if you're not traveling and you're more concerned about, hey, what are some long-term solutions for my sound, Kev? I'll tell you, Auralex products. Auralex are, I think they're the best, right?
Yeah, they are really good.
There are some other comparable products for treating sound. And now when we're talking about Auralex products, we're not talking about blocking out sound so much, but absorbing that echo sound that you might get in an untreated space. And here's the good news. For a limited time, Full Compass has some Auralex products on sale. So again, go to the search bar in the Full Compass page and type in Auralex. Let me do it right now so I can do it along with you. Auralex, Auralex. And all these wonderful products come up, pages and pages of wonderful products. And some of them, Bobby, are on sale.
Ooh. Well, you know, Full Compass always has the low price guarantee, so that's always a great thing. They have free shipping on anything over $49, which if you're getting a whole road gear kit, you know, that's covered right there. And they always have their friendly, free expert assistance at Full Compass.
Call them at 1-800-356-5844 and talk to a sales consultant.
Or go to fullcompass.com.
Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Now, back to the podcast. We're going to get a nightmare session story from Nadia coming up in just a couple of minutes. But I want to hear another story, possibly. Nadia, this whole system you came up with, and I'm sure you use it regularly yourself. Do you have an interesting story about how it has been effective for you yourself?
Sure. I think when it comes to all these different ways that we present ourselves or all these different ways that we, you know, maybe you think to yourself, oh, social media is not my thing, or I can't possibly keep up with the 17,000 different social media platforms that are available. But we know in this day and age that it's important. Being able to be seen on social media, whether it's only on one or two platforms, you never know who is seeing your content and who is interested in your content and who wants to then work with you. So in terms of a story, I actually ended up getting my first animation gig that was not through, like, this was just purely someone who found me. So it wasn't through a casting site, it wasn't through an agent, it was just through direct contact. I had someone contact me on social media to be a main character in their, you know, animation film.
Wow.
Purely because I was there on social media making content and sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? I was interacting with their mutual connections to the point where they went ahead, looked on my profile, saw that I was, you know, they were looking for an Indian character for their animation. They saw me. Then they directly reached out. I auditioned for them, got the role. So you never know, even if you think, well, this person's not responding to me, I'm trying to comment on their post, I'm trying to interact with them, their mutual people will also see that. And they might be like, I don't know this person. Let me go check on their, you know, LinkedIn profile. Oh, interesting. I'm actually looking for a voice actor for my e-learning course. Perfect. I might reach out to them. So you never know who's seeing your interactions. That's a kind reminder to be professional, obviously. But, you know, number two, just go ahead and make that content, even if it may seem scary to do so, or even if it may seem like you're just screaming into a bottomless pit. You know, someone will be noticing what you're producing.
Kevin and I have had the discussion before about posting too much of your work. You know, if you're proud of something that you did, but there are people who will do it every day, or at least every week. Yes. And maybe not such a good idea. If you're posting your work, you can't be that busy, right?
Oh, that is the truth. That is the truth. No, I mean, you know, it doesn't hurt to share it once in a while, but maybe talk about, you know, some hobbies you'd like to do. Or, I mean, believe it or not, when I when I kind of posted about this opera I was in this past weekend, I have had so many clients, prospective clients, leads reach out to me and like, wow, that's so cool. Can you tell me more about, this opera? Or wow, I never knew that you wore those kinds of costumes. Or people are interested in things that you do outside of voiceover because you're a fully fledged human being with interests.
And that goes towards building those relationships, which is what we're all trying to do.
Hi, hello, greetings, salutations, howdy. This is Rob Reed, Austin-based voice actor, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
Nadia Marshall, thank you for your time. We're going to get your contact info in just a second. But right now, I can't wait to hear this. We talk about nightmare sessions. We've had these sessions that we think could not have possibly gone worse. We've all done them. Some of us have had multiple nightmare sessions. Could you please, Nadia Marshall, favor us with a nightmare session story?
Nightmare Sessions!
Let me set the scene. So I was actually away from my home studio. I was down in Florida in my parents' place. And so I had my little travel setup, and everything. And this was a job I had gotten through my agent. Now, I did not know the rate necessarily for the job. They said they go off of our rate card. So like, no worries about that. Don't worry, we'll negotiate with them further. But they want to be able to get this session done. I'm like, okay, but I knew it was through the agent. So I was like, okay, I feel safe. So we are prepared to go into the session. There was supposed to be multiple spots for this company. And I was doing my particular accent for this. They wanted an Indian accent. And so I hop into the session and they say, oh, hey, Nadia, our creative director that normally would have led this is under the weather today. So we're actually having, person X be leading the session today. And this person, you could clearly tell, had never directed talent in their life. Because this woman, okay, I'll pose this question. Guess how long it took us to go through one 30-second spot?
Oh, no. Gosh. It's either going to be 30 seconds or it's going to be 30 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was 45 minutes to get through one 30-second script. Because this woman wanted to line read every single time. But she's like, but I want you to do it like this. And I'm like, but then why are you line reading it to me then? But of course I stay quiet. I'm just doing my job. I'm on Source Connect, so I literally cannot mute myself. And then after I would do the line, she says, okay, well, I'm going to go check in with the team and make sure that it's all okay. So give me a second. So that would be like 3 minutes waiting for the rest of the team to kind of converse with her while I have to be completely quiet on my side of the line. The audio engineer who was on Source Connect with me, he sent me a huge email afterwards. He's like, I don't know how you managed to get through that session. Anyway, so 45 minutes to get through a 30-second spot. The other hour and 15 to get through the other way smaller, 15 seconds, 6 seconds things.
Oh, no.
And it was crazy. So it was easily like a 2-hour session. It was the longest 2 hours of my life. Of course, I'm not in my home studio, so I'm sitting on the floor in my parents' closet. My back is like, it's just I'm hurting all over. That was the highest paying job I made that year. It was 5 figures.
Wow.
And it was the worst session I'd ever been in, but I kept my mouth shut.
Yes.
I kept my mouth shut.
Did you also get a session fee then?
I did, but at the same time, they ended up booking me again, like a couple of months later, and I was like already dreading it because I'm like, I really hope it's not this lady running it. The creative director that was supposed to be in the original session was on the second session. Guess how long it took us to get through the same amount of content?
10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Exactly, 15 minutes.
Wow.
It was night and day. But my highest paying job. So
that is awesome. Well, congratulations.
Nadia, the course that you're doing, that you're offering, I'm curious, as voice talent, we can obviously look into it and purchase it. But what if you have a virtual assistant? Can they also take that?
Yes. I think it can be a great way to, how to train your lead generator, that you can have them take the course so that way they can feel more confident in being able to use multiple methods to find you leads as well. Absolutely, they can take it.
Well, Nadia, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on all your success, and best of luck on your continued success. And tell us, how can folks reach you if they are interested in your lead generation blueprint?
Absolutely. So my email is nadia@voicesbynadia.com. And the lead generation blueprint website is on blueprintcourseware.com. And my voice acting website is voicesbynadia.com. And there you can find all my socials, because my socials are all at Voices by Nadia.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. And we look forward to doing this again with you sometime.
All right. Thank you both.
Thanks, Nadia.
Well, that was informative, Bobby.
Oh, yeah. I'm still just nervous about doing that. I just don't have that marketing skill. But maybe I will.
Yeah, that's the thing we like the least about this business, I think, is the marketing side of it, because we're making ourselves vulnerable and we're like, please like me, and it's tough. But
I mean, how many
have to
VO people do you think got into the business, in the past 5-10 years thinking, I'm going to do this, and I know how to run tech, and I know how to do lead generation. Not many at all. They think that you're going to go in and work's going to come to them. A lot of them, don't you think?
100%. And then that's the shocking thing is like, oh, I've done it. I've done all this training, and I've got the good voice. I've got the good demos, and I'm getting better at my performance. And then like, okay, where's the work? Well, you got to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the harsh reality that you're talking about right there. But it sounds like Nadia's got a good program going, and it could benefit a lot of our listeners.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby, this has been a fun and exciting episode of the Making Waves VO podcast. And guess what? We have another fun, exciting episode of the Making Waves VO podcast coming up for you next week. And it's all presented to you by Full Compass and FullCompass.com.
We know VO.
Bobby, good luck on the ENT appointment.
Thank you.
We're all going to be thinking about you.
Achoo! I'll give you the gory details.
Right.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.